first and trial chapter. In a small clearing stood a beautiful mansion, surrounded by forest. It was built using a wooden frame of rafters and supports, covered with a pitched roof. The floors throughout the house were made of expensive wood and painted a rich chocolate color. The doors throughout the mansion, except for the entrance ones, were made of translucent sheets of paper, which was attached to a lattice frame. The front door was quite simple and didn't really stand out. The mansion itself was surrounded by a large fence with a single entrance, which was closed by large hinged wooden gates. The mansion had 3 floors, and below, underground, there was a small basement. It was used to store material or to restrain and punish people who crossed the building's owner. On the 3rd floor there was a veranda, where discussions on a matter were currently taking place. There were several chairs and 1 sofa in the room, which could accommodate 3 people. All the furniture was displayed around a small table on which lay several papers. Behind one of the chairs sat a small man in a stripped black suit, underneath which could be seen a yellow shirt and a purple tie. The man had small glasses on his face that hid his eyes. And it was not obvious where exactly he was looking now. It was only by the expression on his face that one could understand that the mask of one of his guests frightened him a little. This man has been through a lot with his work, but he has never seen an animal or creature that could belong to it. He was reassured by the thought that his faithful people were behind him. Opposite him were people familiar to the man, but not personally. Personally, he would never want to meet with them, especially on opposite sides of the conflict. On the sofa, slightly to the left of center, sat a girl of about 17. Well, she could have been given that much, judging by her height, since her face was not visible. The girl wore black and red robes and a red belt, which she used as a belt. On his hands were black mittens that completely covered his hands. Red plates were placed on the mittens, which served as protection. Below the waist she wore a black skirt, underneath which she could see tight shorts of the same color. On her legs were separate black leggings that did not communicate with anything, from under the lower end of which leather boots of a similar color with red soles could be seen, and so this girl would not be particularly remarkable, but her distinctive detail is a frightening white and red mask that covers her entire face. The mask has 4 slits for the eyes, which gives the girl an even more menacing appearance. From these slits, red eyes looked at the man. From under the mask one could see long, slightly disheveled black hair with small streaks of red. Next to the girl stood a sheath with a blade placed there. Judging by the handle of the blade and the size of the sheath, one could conclude that they were for a katana. Only they were much larger than simple scabbards. And closer to the handle there was some kind of mechanism installed. The man only saw small capsules with different colors, the purpose of which he had no idea. The shape of the scabbard resembled a thick rectangle containing a much smaller cylinder. Next to the girl was sitting another girl of the same age, which, however, could be said about all the guests there. Yes, they were all girls of about 17, with frightening appearances, except one. Her expression calmed the man, but his eyes went back to the girl sitting next to the first girl. She was without a mask, and there was an expression of boredom on her face, and her red eyes looked around everything around in boredom. Her hair was the same black color with hints of red and reached to her shoulders. To this, the man concluded that the 2 girls in front of him were most likely sisters. The girl's clothes were a gray shirt, on which several top buttons were undone, and the sleeves were rolled up to the elbows. A red cloak was worn over the top of the shirt, which reached the girl's feet. The girl's waist was cinched in a red and black corset. They wore 3 rings on their hands, 1 on the index finger, the other 2 on the ring finger, and a choker with a cross on their neck. The man's gaze dropped below the waist and saw a black skirt, under which there were also black tight-fitting shorts. On her feet were black boots that almost reached the girl's knees. Standing nearby was a rather large sword, the appearance of which suggested that it was segmented. The handle was braided with a red ribbon, and where you could rest your hand, there was a spike for greater strength. Where the guard should have been, there was an unusual mechanism. The blade itself had a beautiful pattern running through all the segments of the blade. The 3 remaining girls stood behind the sofa. The man started looking at a friendlier, well, in his opinion, girl with black hair. She had black short hair, the ends of which looked like they had been forcibly shortened. The hairstyle covered the left eye, but you can tell from the light amber color of the right eye that they are very beautiful. The girl wore a long dark red dress with one long, white sleeve covering her left arm. The edges of the collar and the end that opens toward the right arm are gold in color, as are the patterns decorating the upper chest and sleeve. On the right side of the dress there is a long slit starting from the pelvis and running down parallel to the thigh. In the upper and middle third of the thigh, this cut is connected by a pair of golden straps. Under her outfit the girl wears black tights. On the same side of the dress are diamond-shaped gemstones, from the base of which extend feathers colored in different shades of blue. She wears a long gray glove on her right hand. The upper end of the glove ends in a golden metal band that branches up the shoulder. On the ear of the same side you can see a new earring. This girl was the only one who did not have a bladed weapon with her. Because of this, the man concluded that she acts as a long-range support for them, or, most likely, as a medic for the squad. But it would be a mistake to underestimate her fighting skills. The last two girls were like yin and yang. In the attire of one, dark shades predominated, and in the attire of the second, light shades predominated. To begin with, the man decided to examine the fair girl. The girl had snow-white hair braided into a thin braid, and her bangs were styled so that they lay close to her face. There was a cut across the entire left eye that did not spoil the girl's appearance, but only betrayed her severity. She had two lovely soft blue eyes. The top of the outfit consists of two tops, a white one on the bottom and a pale blue V-neck on the top. On her shoulders was a bright blue short jacket with a raised collar that completely covered the girl's neck and puffy sleeves. On the left shoulder of the jacket was an unknown coat of arms for a man. On her hands was a pair of long, dark blue gloves with silver and red trim. The bottom matches the style of the top, a white long bias skirt, and on top of it there was another one, but with a large cutout in the front and a different, pale blue color. On top of the skirt is a light blue high-waisted piece that is held in place by three white sashes. Two pouches are attached to the belts in front, and a weapon is located on the left side of the belt. The legs are shod in long pale blue boots with dark blue wedges, with dark blue socks and white frills at the knees. In appearance, the girl's weapon resembled a rapier. There was just one significant difference, and this was a strange mechanism in place of the guard. Vessels of different colors were visible in this mechanism. He saw the same ones in the weapon sheath of the masked girl sitting opposite. Finally, the man left the dark girl, who frightened him no less than the girl in the mask. He was especially afraid of her amber eyes with a vertical pupil, which were closely watching him. When combined, the color of her eyes with her jet black hair that reached her shoulders made for an unforgettable combination. The girl wore a black jumpsuit with a high collar and zippers on the chest and legs, as well as two knee pads. The long white cloak has pale lilac and dark details on the chest, sleeves, sides, and collar, bright purple trim on the inside, and a cutout at the back. The outfit is complemented by several belts, a narrow and gray one on the collar, a pair of purple ones on the wrists, and a wide WH.